So I decided that I was going to kind of, I guess, chart how I'm feeling through this whole process of getting past and letting go of Eric. I sit here all the time watching videos on toxic relationships and letting go and why I hold on. And I've done this for 5 years on and off. And it is hard. I don't even know if hard makes sense. It's confusing to me. It doesn't make sense. I try to look for an answer so that something will click in my head, and let me not think about it or feel sad, because I wonder, why am I feeling sad? This is somebody that hurt me, and hurt me in a way that nobody else did things to me that anybody else, I would cut them off. Eric put his hands on me. He was emotionally abusive. He was verbally abusive, physically abusive. I became somebody I didn't even know anymore. I got very sick. I lost jobs. I barely functioned. And I would just continue to go back and continue to go back. And I could make a list. Here's all the reasons why this person isn't good for me. And then have my list on the other side of the things about him that were good for me. And they were completely off balance. I know intellectually every single reason why he is not good for me. I know that in 6 months, a year, 5 years, or just looking forward onto my life, he and I, or just I, would never personally get out of this relationship what really ultimately I want. And it's been the hardest, most confusing struggle that I've ever gone through. Ever. There's no other relationship that I've held on to like this one. It's Sunday. Friday, I told him to leave. Because every single day that I looked at him, I felt anger and resentment and sadness and distrust. And I spent days at work worrying. What is he doing? Who is he talking to? No trust. I would tell him, don't trust you. I'm never going to trust you. Because regardless, I think he could do everything perfect for years. And the bottom line is that the things he already did to me and the trust that he already violated multiple times is inside me. It's inside me. And I know myself. So I know, and I knew when I took him back after lies and cheating and him going to prison for breaking laws, doing things I didn't know he was doing. I knew, excuse me, not to take him back. I knew that. But I did. There would be this ache in my heart. As angry as I was, as hurt as I was, as much as I couldn't see him, when I didn't, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like my whole body ached. I felt like I couldn't do it. But then the minute I'd have him back around me, I didn't like who I was. I didn't like who he was. And I've struggled with this for years. I've cut him off. Mostly cut him off when he was in prison. And I started to see my life come back together. I started to feel better. I started to look better. And the first opportunity that I knew he was out of prison, I struggled with continuing to keep that distance between us. It's crazy. It's fucked up. It's sick. I feel sick because I know 100% this relationship doesn't work. Our moral compass isn't the same. Our family values are not the same. I don't really like you as a person. And I say that in one sentence, and then I turn around and say, this is so hard. I know that there's countless people, men and women, who struggle with this same feeling because I've watched the videos, because I've listened to the stories to help me get through my times of weakness. Since Friday, I've caught up on sleep that I desperately need, because with him around, I don't get the rest or sleep that I need, and it takes a toll on me. I look at myself and I look at my face and I look like shit. I feel like shit. And I've cleaned my house. I've organized things. I've made things feel better to me. I feel like, okay, if I can put these things in order, then I'll start to feel in order. I blocked him from calling me. I've disconnected him from our family circle, where we've like tracked where we are. And I have to continue to keep doing that. I have to. I know that if I do, every single day will get me closer to feeling better and disconnected from him. The only thing I can connect this to is when I hear stories about people in addiction, that it brings you down a path that ruins your life. You lose things, you lose people, you start to not look like yourself, and you know that whatever your drug is, it's not good for you. And so you get the help and the support and you stop, and then you slip up and you go back to it and you try to justify in your mind that it'll be different this time. And then the cycle starts again. And that's been the 5 years of my life with Eric. Like an addiction. And I have to do something different this time. I'm going to make videos and I'm going to track how I feel, and I'm going to take the little advice and post up those things to remind me, he lied to you, he hit you, he disrespected you, he disconnected you from your family, he didn't support the things that were important to me, he violated my privacy, he wasn't kind or even nice to others, and it bothered me. He wasn't respectful of my things, of my home. I have to remind myself of these things every single day. But the difference, because I know that my family and my friends, my best friend, my daughter, who I'm very, very close with about this, there's a piece of them that wants this to be true, but thinks I will somehow get in contact with him again, and I'll justify it. I know this. This is very embarrassing to me. I get excited thinking about certain things that I can do with him not in my life. Basic stuff. Hanging out with friends or reconnecting with my family that's cut me off as a result of my continuing to go back to this relationship. I have to do something different. I have to. And I also feel really strongly that I can't try to replace him with somebody else. I can't start dating. I can't even think about it. That feels different to me. Before, when we would break up, my first thought would be, okay, try to talk to somebody else, a distraction. And I think the one thing I haven't done is really, really, really take care of myself. Get healthier and sleep more and, treat myself to simple stuff. It could be like a haircut or getting my nails done or getting some makeup or just doing things for myself. Going on little trips that I want to go on. This relationship has disconnected me from 2 of my adult children, which has then disconnected me from 3 of my grandkids. It's prevented me from building friendships with people that I've met that I want to spend time with, females, girlfriends. And so I know I have to do this. I know I do. And I hope that in this process that I'll be able to help other people. And I think one of the things for me that helps me to watch other people's videos is just to kind of know, I'm not crazy. This happens. People can know that somebody is not good for them, and they can know that they need to move on and that they struggle. I need to make what that connection is. I need to figure out for myself what inside of me has had me hold on to this relationship for so long. What makes this so hard? We're talking about a person that had multiple affairs, cheated on me from very early on in the relationship, lied every day on a daily basis about big things to little things. Was doing illegal activity that caused him to go to prison, violated protective orders that I put in place. I think about those stories. Sometimes I forget them. I think I mindfully forget them on purpose, because when I remind myself, I'm taken back, because I am not naturally the type of person that takes a whole lot of shit from anybody. And I speak my mind, and I can't think of another single person that I've taken so much disrespect from, just blatant, outright disrespect from, and have in my mind justified or convinced myself it was a tough time in his life. He didn't mean to do it. But do that and then be in my thoughts by myself, whether I'm driving in the car alone. Because that's one thing I didn't have when he was around. A lot of alone time. Just simple alone time. Or be at work and sit there and very clearly know, right now I'm at work and he's probably watching hours of porn. Which I know that there's people, and I know for men it can be something that they do, but I truly believe that he has what would be for me, because everybody's different, but an unhealthy, disrespectful attachment to porn. Made me feel some type of way every day. I think that he probably never stopped talking to other people. I'm not sure if they were even male or female or both. I have to be able to get through this. I have to be able to get to the other side of this. I know I have to. I'm probably going to have to go and talk to somebody. I know that I need to be back in domestic violence groups. I need that support system. I need to pray on this. I need to, at church today, really connect that message to what I'm going through right now. I need to do activities and do things that make me feel better. And I know for whatever crazy reason, I'm going to cry about this. I'm going to feel sad about this. I'm going to struggle with not having contact. But it is March 1st, 2020. And I truly want to see this process. I dream about the point, whenever that is. I don't know if this is going to take me 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5, I don't know. But I do want to track how I feel, because I really, really want to be able to help other people. I know at some point there's going to be some connection that I'm going to make for myself. I always want to know, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? And I get that you don't always know why about other people, but I need to figure out for me why I let this happen to me. Why I held on to this. I have to figure that out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I won't figure out why. Maybe I'll wake up one day and just not give a shit about it anymore, and I'll be better. I don't know. But I do know this. I'm going to keep track of it this time. And I am going to utilize my experience for the better, for myself and for other people. I think we go through things for reasons. I think we don't always know the reasons at the time. There's definitely lessons in here for me. There has to be. And right now, the only thing I can connect this to or equate it with is addiction. It's the only terms that I hear that are like parallel. Like, my daughter struggles with addiction her whole life. And it was very hard for me to understand it. It was very hard for me to understand it. I can remember saying things to her like, you know this isn't good for you. You know what this does to your life. You know, my whole list of how easy I thought. And I can tell you that if anything I've realized through this process, it's a whole lot easier to tell somebody else what to do than to follow your own advice in your own life. And I've also used that for myself. Like, if someone else was telling my story to me, what would I tell them to do? I would tell them to run like hell. It'd be so easy for me. And I have to remind myself of that. I'm smart enough to make those connections, but there's something mentally and emotionally inside of me that is holding on to something not good for me. And I want to figure out what that is. And I want, in doing so, that I'm going to be able, if I help even just one person who feels the way I feel, then there was a purpose. And if I learn something about myself and I become stronger as a result of that, then okay, I'll see the reason why. Right now I don't see it, but that's what I think. So it's Sunday morning. It's like 6:30 in the morning, March 1st, 2020. Right now, I feel a little scared, feel a little depressed, sad, mad, look like shit. I can't believe I made a video like this. Haven't had a shower since Friday. But this is where I am today. So I look on to this journey and where it takes me.